Hi there everyone. Today's video is going to be a product review and testing video for this. This is a new Walksnail Avatar V2 video system from Cadex. I have both the standard camera and the pro camera, and I received both of these yesterday. And this video has to come out tomorrow. So we are going to be speed running the testing for this new video system. I'm going to be taking you through all of the features of these new systems on the bench. Then we're going to be looking at an image quality comparison between these cameras, the DJI V1 system with the Nebula Pro and DJI O3. We're going to be testing the latency of the system, and I'm going to be talking about the compatibility between this V2 system and the previous Avatar V1 system. And finally, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on this new system so that you have all the information you need to know whether either of these is going to be right for your next build. Let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into it. Alright, let's take a look at this new Avatar V2 video system on the bench. And we'll start with what you get in the box. Inside the box, you get the video transmitter and camera, an antenna, and a USB cable to connect the VTX to your computer so that you can download the onboard video files and do firmware updates and stuff like that. You get a little baggie of various M2 screws, washers, and a cable to connect the VTX to a flight controller. You get this quick start guide, and I notice on the back of the box it also says that you get this USB transfer extension cable, which I guess allows you to mount a USB plug somewhere on your quad that's permanently connected to the VTX so that you can use a USB cable to just download the video files directly from the quad without having to use this connection. Now, I didn't receive this board and cable in either of my kits, so not sure whether this is actually going to ship with the kit, but it is marked there on the box. Cadex have confirmed to me that all retail kits of the V2 video system will ship with that USB extension cable. Let's take a look at the V2 VTX now. And I think the best way to do that is to compare it to the Avatar V1 VTX, because they are very similar. They have the same shape, the same size, and the same 25.5 by 25.5 millimeter mounting points. But the V2 VTX does have some notable differences. The first is the addition of these 20 by 20 millimeter mountings that you can see on the top. Now these don't go all the way through, these are just blind threaded holes. So if I take a M2 screw and screw it in, you can see that it only goes so far, only about 2 or 3 turns before it bottoms out in that hole. So you can use this to attach the VTX to the base plate of a drone frame, but the hole doesn't go all the way through the board like it does on the 25 millimeter mounting positions. And I actually think this is a pretty good idea. One of the issues that I had people emailing me about with the original V1 VTX was if you over tightened the screws on these 25 millimeter mountings, you could compress the board and actually damage components underneath the heatsink. If you're using these blind threaded holes to mount the board, the worst thing you can do is strip the threads of these holes, and you do get 2 attempts because they've got mountings on this side and that side. But you're never going to risk compressing the components and potentially damaging things on the PCB. The V2 VTX, the housing extends all the way around the PCB. You can see there's no exposed edge of the board anywhere on the V2 VTX. So hopefully that will improve durability even over what we saw with the V1. In terms of antennas, the V2 VTX just has a single UFL antenna point here, whereas the V1 VTX had diversity antennas. We'll have to see how that plays out in terms of range and penetration. We have pads here for direct soldering the VTX to a flight controller next to the same type of plug as was used on the Avatar V1. Just to clarify, it's the same type of connector, a JST 1.0, but it's not exactly the same connector because the V2 VTX has 4 pins in the connector, the V1 has 6. But you can repin the old connector into the new one and vice versa if you're swapping them in a quad. The USB connection is different between the V2 and the V1 VTX, so you won't be able to use the same cable for connecting the V1 to the V2. The V2 comes with its own cable. Interestingly, it's also different from the USB cable that's used for the Lite VTX. So you're just going to have to keep a few of those around making sure that you have the right cable for the right VTX. If we look at the camera now, the camera on the standard version of the Avatar V2 VTX is very similar to the original V1 camera. In fact, they look almost identical, don't they? There is a small difference. This is a 19mm camera, and the original camera was a 20mm camera. So the V2, they've adopted that 19mm standard, but they are still using the DJI screw mounting. So that's an interesting choice. If you're going to go with the same mounting as the DJI camera, why would you not make it the same width, 20mm? And if you were to go with a 19mm camera, why wouldn't you go with a standard 19mm single screw mounting? So not sure what the reasoning is there, but anyway, this is a 19mm wide camera with a 2-screw mounting, same as the original Walksnail Avatar camera and the DJI cameras. Both the Pro and standard cameras come with 0.5mm washers to adapt from 19 to 20mm, and I can confirm that both cameras fit perfectly into the AOS O3 camera cage. So if you're looking at an AOS frame for this camera system, it's going to fit just fine. If you want to learn more about AOS frames, I'll put a link to that down in the video description. There are 3 versions of this system that you need to be aware of. The first is the standard Avatar HD V2. That comes with 8GB of onboard storage and this Avatar HD camera. It does not have a gyro, and it's going to retail for $139 US. The second version is an upgraded version with 32GB of onboard storage, the same Avatar HD camera, but they add a gyro, so you'll have gyro data if you want to do post-processing. And that's going to retail for $149 US. And then they have this Pro version, which has a different camera with the 1/1/8 inch Sony StarViz sensor, 32GB of onboard storage, and it does have a gyro for gyro flow post-processing. That Pro version is going to retail for $159 US. Let's take a look at the weight of these systems now. And we'll start with the Avatar V2 VTX. That comes in at 19.1 grams. And the standard camera takes it up to 27.3 grams. If we add the included antenna, that's 29.4 grams. And with the included cable, you're looking at a system weight of about 30 grams. The Pro system comes in a little heavier at 29.7 grams for the VTX and camera, 31.9 with the included antenna, and about 32.5 grams with the included cable. If we look at the weight of this new Avatar V2 system compared to DJI O3 and the Caddx Vista, we can see that the Avatar system weighs about the same as the Caddx Vista and a bit lighter than O3. But you can get the system a lot lighter than that, and we're going to talk more about that when we discuss compatibility. So, is it worth spending $10 or $20 more to get the Pro camera with the larger sensor, or are you better off saving your money and getting the standard camera instead? Well, we're going to put these two cameras side by side in an image quality comparison test along with the DJI Caddx Vista and O3 to see how they stack up. And I think that the Caddx Vista is the better comparison here, because at $165, it's about the same price as the Avatar V2 Pro system, with the standard system coming in a little bit cheaper. DJI O3 is of course $70 to $90 more expensive than Avatar V2, but come on. Are they not inviting the comparison with this styling? It's all black, anodized aluminium, and these cameras look like they could have been made by the same company. So I think we have to put them side by side. Here we have DJI O3, Caddx Vista Nebula Pro, and the two new Avatar systems, both the standard and the Pro camera, all recording on board at their highest resolutions and tiled up to 4K. I'm not going to tell you which is which right away, so you can form your own unbiased opinion, but I am going to gradually zoom these images in so that you can really pixel peep at the level of detail that each of these systems is able to offer. I think we can agree that all of these systems produce a really nice image. Now I'm going to show you which is which and also zoom into 4 times in case you're watching on a smaller screen. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you have a preference? If so, what tipped the balance for you? Now I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I think that both of the new Avatar V2 cameras are noticeably better in terms of image quality than the Nebula Pro on the Caddx Vista, but not quite as good as DJI O3. Between the two Avatar V2 cameras, in the daylight, I would give the edge very, very slightly to the standard camera. I actually like that image a little bit more. I think the Pro camera, you might say, is just ever so slightly over sharpened compared to the standard camera. But the difference is very, very slight. And that's in the daytime. This picture changes completely if we start to look at the low light performance of these systems. If we look at some Twilight footage now taken just after sunset, you can see that the Avatar V2 Pro is doing the best job out of all of these cameras at capturing detail in this lower light level situation. The Nebula Pro is doing pretty well, and the Avatar V2 camera is doing okay as well. DJI O3 really starts to struggle when the light level gets low. You can see that large areas of the image are underexposed and we're losing detail in the shadows. The Avatar V2 Pro is definitely pulling ahead. As we switch to nighttime footage, we can see that the Avatar V2 Pro is pulling even further ahead. Even though its image is a bit noisy, it is able to lift a lot of detail out of the very, very dark image. And it also handles the transition from low light to brighter light really, really well. And the moment that there is even a little bit of light, it provides a really excellent level of detail and really is the clear leader in terms of nighttime flying. So let's come back to the original question and ask, is the Pro camera worth the extra $10 or $20 over the standard camera for the Avatar V2 system? And I feel like here I can give a really clear recommendation. If you're interested in flying at nighttime, in the evening, or indoors under artificial lights where the light level is a bit lower, then the Pro camera offers a huge advantage over the standard camera. If, however, you're looking to fly just during the daytime when the light level is higher, then it really offers no benefit, and actually you're probably better off sticking with the standard camera. Now it's time to look at the glass-to-glass latency of the Avatar V2 system and see how it compares to the other digital systems that are available. This data is collected using the same method that I've used for all other digital systems, and I'll put a link down in the video description if you're interested to learn more about that. This footage is captured at 1000 frames a second with the LED in front of the camera turning on at time 0, and then we can wait and count the number of frames until we see the first bright pixels on the screen, and then until the entire screen has fully updated. And that gives us the glass-to-glass latency for a single pixel and also for a full frame. When it comes to latency testing, the results are quite straightforward. The Avatar V2 standard camera offers exactly the same latency as the Avatar V1 system in all modes, with the Pro camera adding an additional 2 to 3 milliseconds of latency across the board. So that's something to be aware of. When we compare to DJI V1 and DJI O3, the Avatar system is just as fast as DJI V1 in its fastest mode, but offers slightly better image quality, and it's significantly faster than DJI O3 in pretty much all of its modes. Now let's talk about compatibility, because I think this is an area where the Avatar V2 system really stands out. As far as I can tell, Avatar V2 is completely backwards compatible with V1. You can run the new cameras on the old VTXs, you can run the old cameras on the new VTXs, and you can mix and match between the Lite VTX, the V1 VTX, and the V2 VTX with no issues. So that's just fantastic for people who are already invested in the Avatar system and are going to want that ability to swap components between their builds. Now let's talk about lightweighting the Avatar V2 VTX. Now, what I'm about to show you will void your warranty. So you break it, you board it. But that's never stopped me before, so let's do it. Now it's time for me to show you the party piece of this system. If you remove the screws that you'll find at the 4 corners of the housing, you can remove both sides of the housing to leave just the board. And this board is very, very similar in layout to the Avatar Lite VTX board. This one here, you can see it's got almost exactly the same component layout. This heatsink on the main chipset, we know can also be removed because they remove it on the Avatar Lite VTX. So if you get a scalpel blade and you very carefully work your way around the edge, you can actually lift this up. It's not glued down, there's just some thermal paste underneath. You can remove this, and now we have a 6S voltage capable 1000 milliwatt video transmitter that is significantly smaller and lighter than anything like a naked Vista and actually approaches the size and weight of the 1S Light VTX. You can see it's pretty similar size, pretty similar weight. Let's put it on the scales and see what it comes in at. Okay, so the Light VTX comes in at 5.6 grams. And what about this new Avatar V2 naked VTX? 6.2. So you can see we're only adding 0.6 grams to add an additional 800 milliwatts of output power and also to increase the voltage range. So the Light VTX can go to a maximum of 5 volts, whereas this naked V2 VTX can go anywhere from 6 volts all the way up to 25.2 volts. So you can run it all the way up to 6S. So for these kind of 2, 3, 4S micros, this is a really good solution at a really light weight. And don't forget that because of the backwards compatibility, you can also use it with the light camera as well. So you can save even more weight that way. And that brings us to the conclusions and recommendations part of the video. And I think that this new Avatar V2 video system is going to be a really compelling option for a lot of pilots. Let's compare it to the Calyx Vista. It's $5 to $25 cheaper than the Vista. It's got way more features. It's got better image quality, onboard recording. You can lightweight it so that it's even lighter than a naked Vista, and you can use a lightweight camera with it as well. It's still got 1000 milliwatts of output power, and it goes up to 6S voltage. So this is, I think, in every way better than a Calyx Vista, and it costs less money. So that for me is a slam dunk. Definitely recommend that over a Vista right now. Let's compare it to the O3 system. Now, it's $70 to $90 cheaper than O3, so it's significantly cheaper than O3. It does have gyro data for gyroflow available on the more expensive versions. The image quality, the onboard recorded image quality is not quite as good as O3. So, that's something there. But if you're running a naked GoPro, that's not going to be a problem for you because you're going to be using the onboard footage from your naked GoPro or your full-size GoPro, and you're going to be able to use Rocksteady in the GoPro as well. And if you're running a GoPro, the image quality from that is going to be, I think, slightly better than what you get from O3. So in that case, it's also a slam dunk against the O3. The only situation where you might want to go O3 is when you're not going to run a GoPro and you really want the best onboard image quality that you can possibly get, and you're willing to pay a bit more for it. A bit more for the video transmitter and also a bit more for the goggles as well. So, there's some extra cost there. Now let's talk about the Pro camera. Now, this is by far and away the best low light camera available for a digital system. It's much better than the Calyx Polar. It's much better than the DJI O3 camera. It's much better than any of the other Avatar cameras in low light level situations. So if you like to fly at twilight, or you like to fly in the evening, or you like to fly indoors where it's dark and you can afford the weight of this camera, then it's also a clear winner for me. And to top it all off, even the Pro version of this is still a little bit cheaper than a Vista and $70 cheaper than O3. When you factor in the compatibility between the V2 system and all of the hardware that's come before for the Walksnail Avatar system, if I was only going to fly one video system going forward, Walksnail Avatar would be it. I can fly on tiny whoops, I can fly on micros, I can fly on mini quads, I can fly on long range quads, I can fly it everywhere, and I can mix and match all of the different components to get the best setup for any particular build. And other systems just don't offer that level of versatility quite yet. Certainly you don't get it with DJI. And HD0, you do get that versatility, but HD0 doesn't have the image quality for me or the onboard recording that I would want for my, one and only video system. So it's got to be Walksnail Avatar. If you've decided that you want to try out Avatar V2, I'll put some links down in the video description to where you can pick yours up today. And if you enjoyed this video and want to support more test work like this, please consider using the links because they are affiliate links. That means that if you use the link and make any purchase, I receive a small commission at no cost to you, doesn't cost you anything, and that money goes to help support the free content that I produce here on YouTube and over at AOS Labs. Thank you to everyone who uses the links, I really appreciate it. That's all that I have for you for today and for the next couple of weeks because I'm off on holiday. But until next time, I wish you all very, very happy flying.